Hi and welcome back to my channel, and if it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Simone. Today I thought I would talk about what I wish I would have known about the postpartum period. So obviously, because I've had 3 children, it was a shock, a lot of the things in the first birth, but there was a shock like with the second and third, but obviously it was different to the first. So I'm gonna amalgamate the 3 experiences. So first one would be the amount of bleeding that takes place postpartum. I know you know, like the midwives or doctors tell you that you'll bleed, but I was assuming it would just be kind of like the amount that you get when you're on your period, your monthly period. But wow, especially with my second birth, it was literally, there was so much. You know, I wouldn't say I was filling a pad an hour, because obviously that's something to be really concerned about. But I was, you know, every couple of hours, every 2 to 3 hours, I was needing to change the pads. And these pads were, you know, like big, thick pads, not like always like ultra, the little thin ones or whatever. So yeah, and then if I was sitting there for a while breastfeeding, I'd have to be so careful, because the blood can tend to pool in the you know, inside, and then when you stand up it can all just come out. So yeah, I was quite shocked at the amount of blood that had come out. And after having the baby as well, having a bath, like the bath was just full of blood. So yes, that's something definitely to be aware of if it's your first baby. And also about the smell, I have made another video about this before, but with 2 of the babies it was fine, there was no like odd smell or anything. But with my last one, for about 3-week period, there was an awful smell, like what the baby's belly button smells like. It wasn't an infection, because I spoke to the doctor about it and I didn't have any fever or pain or anything like that, but there was this horrible smell, and some women have said that it smells like rotting flesh and a dead badger. So yeah, that's something to be aware of as well. But obviously if you do get a fever and you've got any pains in your stomach and you're passing blood clots and a lot of blood as well as the smell, then it will be definitely worth getting in touch with your doctor. So number 2, what I wish I would have known, that I didn't expect my belly to go down straight away. I know with some mums it does, but to be looking like 6 months pregnant straight after, and then consequently months later still having quite a big belly, and I still had the line down the stomach for quite a while with my other children, and it's still there now with this one, and he's 7 weeks old at the moment. And yeah, so I mean, I wasn't super skinny before I got pregnant each time, but it is quite a shock, you know, to see how much your body changes after, and how, like, my belly in particular just looked really deflated, swollen and deflated, and just the whole, I don't know, your whole body really, it changes completely from what it looked like when you was pregnant. And then obviously if you're breastfeeding, your boobs will be, you know, potentially a lot bigger as well. So I think it wasn't just the belly, it was just the whole postpartum body that I was surprised with, and it took a while to get used to. I'm not one of those types of people that just bounce back straight away and I'm back in my jeans. It takes me usually about 18 months. So that's one thing that I wish I would have known, so that it would have probably been easier and I wouldn't be so hard on myself. But with each consecutive pregnancy, I've just chilled out a bit and know that it's obviously, it took 9 months to have the baby, and I would say it takes a minimum of 9 months or even more for me to feel even back to normal. So that's another thing that I wish that I would have known. Okay, number 3, how it feels down there afterwards. So with my home birth, oh my goodness, when I got up the next day, it literally felt like everything was going to fall out down there. It felt like the pelvic floor muscles, that there just wasn't any. It was really, really strange, and I was really worried to sneeze or cough or even laugh. And going to the toilet for the first time, having a number 1 and a number 2, it was quite scary because it just felt so uncomfortable down there. And because we'd had a home birth, we needed to go to the hospital a couple of days later to go and get the baby checked and for her to have her hearing checked and everything. And it was just so weird walking around. Surprisingly, with this last birth, I didn't have any of them sensations whatsoever. Everything felt normal-ish down there. I've not started exercising or anything, but I do know if I'm walking up a hill with the pram and I'm kind of tensing my stomach a bit, it does feel a bit weird down there. Yeah, with the C-section, it was a bit of a different story because obviously, you know, not giving birth vaginally, but I was concerned about, you know, standing up straight because I thought the stitches would pop, or it was just really uncomfortable to get out of bed. So with vaginal birth and with a C-section, it just all around that area, I just think if someone would have told me, give me the heads up to know what potentially it could feel like, it would made things a lot easier. Yeah, also I think it would be useful to know how it can really feel if you do tear or need stitches down there. With me, I got offered stitches with my second. She said it was a graze. Like, I don't know what's defined really as a graze down there, but I would say, like, I don't know if it's a labia, but in like just on the outside, I don't know if it is stretched loads or whether it cut or what. Sorry if this is too much information, but it was like a big piece like was hanging down, and it was so painful. Like she said, oh, it might be sore when you go into the toilet, but it absolutely wrecked. Honestly, it was really, really painful. And the only way that I could, I mean, I know some women use a squirting water bottle. Sorry, the camera's shaking, but my daughter's here. I know some women use like a like a squirty water bottle when they're going to the toilet, but that didn't work with me, like pouring water on it. I would have to get like a clean glass, and put it over that like flap, the graze or whatever, and go to the toilet that way so that none of the urine was going on it at all, because it honestly, that was more painful than the labour. Honestly, it was really, really horrendous. But it only took like a week for it to heal, thankfully. I remember being out of the house and I'd left it a little bit too long to go to the toilet, so obviously the urine was probably more concentrated. I was in a supermarket in the toilet and I was crying my eyes out. My mum like knocked on the door and was like, "Are you alright?" And oh, it was really, really painful. Yeah, number 4 is breastfeeding and boobs. So what I mean by that is how difficult breastfeeding could be. I just thought that it'd be just one of those things that would just be easy, but I found it really, really difficult, in particular with my first. And it wasn't helped after having the emergency C-section, and I was really uncomfortable. And then I later found out that if there's been any inductions or epidurals, or if you've had any like medication in labour, it can affect the breastfeeding journey, and in some instances it can prevent the baby from being able to latch on. So I wish I would have known all of that, then I wouldn't have felt so stressed out and upset when things weren't going right with the breastfeeding. And
hi.
Okay. And I wish that I would have known how big your boobs get, because I mean, not everybody obviously goes up in cup sizes, you know, when they've had the baby and when they're breastfeeding, but I go up at least a couple of cup sizes, and it's just so uncomfortable, especially in the first you know, couple of weeks, like when your milk's coming in, and if you leave prolonged periods between feeding, your boobs can get engorged and you can end up with mastitis. So I really wish that I would have taken some classes, or at least, you know, someone would have talked to me and let me know about their experience, so it could have prepared me a little bit better. Say with the third, it's definitely been a lot easier, but I still have some challenges with latching and with soreness of like nipples. But I'm 7 weeks in now and things are getting a lot easier. So yeah, so that's definitely breastfeeding and what your boobs would feel like. Is the after pains. So with my first, I had the epidural, so I couldn't feel anything. With the second, I had some after pains. The placenta came out no problem within about 15 minutes, but the after pains, when I was breastfeeding, there was kind of like period pains. It wasn't too bad, but when I had my son 7 weeks ago, I had a retained placenta, and for the first hour it was fine. I didn't have any feelings, sensations or anything. It didn't feel like my womb was contracting, but after about an hour when I got out of the pool, the contractions were so strong. There was more intense than being in labour, but obviously I've been in labour for 20 odd hours and I don't think I could take much more of, you know, having the contractions, but they just gradually got worse and worse and worse, and then and then I ended up having to go to theatre and having an epidural to get the placenta out because it wasn't coming. But them contractions, I am not joking, they was absolutely horrendous. I mean, I don't know obviously if every woman experiences these, but I really wish that someone would have told me that when your placenta is due to come out, this is what could happen, because I did not have a clue. Hair loss. So I know you read about it, that your hair gets thicker when you're pregnant and that afterwards your hair can start to come out. This might not be for everybody, but in my case, I struggle with my hair growing anywhere, and now it is quite thick, but it's not usually like this. Literally, it can go from this to coming out in clumps and big, no one say bald spots, but loads of this round here just all falling out. It can end up being half the amount of volume what this is now. Now, with me, it doesn't usually happen like within the first few months. It's usually after around about the 6-month mark, and it just throws me. It's not gradual, it's like loads of it comes out. And that's something that I really wish that I would have known, that you know, the hair loss, it can be a lot. And I know the doctors say, oh, but it you know, it starts to grow back, but with my type of hair, maybe because it's Afro-Caribbean hair, it's never the case. It's always really lovely and thick in pregnancy and a little bit after, and then it just all seems to fall out, unfortunately. So that's one thing that I wish that I would have known about the postpartum period. So I've got the baby for the last one. How quickly the first 6 weeks go, and usually how difficult it can be. You know, you're obviously juggling and dealing with everything what I was, you know, saying. But it's such an amazing period where you're getting to see your baby change on a daily basis. But there's so many growth spurts, and you know, you're getting used to your baby and what certain cries mean. You're sleep deprived. It's just really, really unpredictable. And it's obviously such an adjustment, especially with your first baby, to get used to everything. But it really does go quickly. It feels like there's not a light at the end of the tunnel when, you know, you're struggling and you're sleep deprived and everything else. But it is a really difficult time getting used to changing your body and the baby and everything else, but it is the most amazing and wonderful time. And if I could suggest anything to anyone, is take as many pictures as you can, make as many videos as you can, and just be in the moment with your baby. Because honestly, when I look back at the photos of my 2 other children and see how quickly they've grown from this size, oh dear, it just makes me want to appreciate every moment so far, and it helps me through those difficult times as well. that I've talked about with the other ones. So I hope this video has been useful, and if it has and you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like any more of these types of videos, then please leave a comment down below. And if you like the content, then please subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time. Bye.